Today we are looking at Ratatouille. Here we go.
Although each of the world's countries would like to dispute this fact, we French know the truth. The best food in the world is made in France. The best food in France is made in Paris. And the best food in Paris, some say, is made by Chef Auguste Gusteau. Gusteau's restaurant is the toast of Paris, booked 5 months in advance, and his dazzling ascent to the top of fine French cuisine has made his competitors envious. He is the youngest chef ever to achieve a 5-star rating. Chef Gusteau's cookbook, Anyone Can Cook, climbed to the top of the bestseller list. But not everyone celebrates its success.
Amusing title, Anyone Can Cook. What's even more amusing is that Gusteau actually seems to believe it. I, on the other hand, take cooking seriously, and no, I don't think anyone can do it.
Ratatouille is Pixar's 8th movie released in 2007. This movie began development in 2000 and took on very different forms in its development process. But eventually in 2005, Brad Bird took over writing and directing this film. He eventually led this movie to being the 6th highest grossing movie of 2007, being nominated for Best Original Screenplay, and winning an Academy Award for Best Animated Movie. So looking through reviews for this movie, I think it's kind of overrated in that sense. Not to say it's a bad movie. I just saw it in that top echelon of films all time, and I don't think it's there. But I do think this is a very good movie, a lot better than what I thought it was when I was younger. Maybe as I get older, I'll appreciate it more. But this film has a very simple concept. Anybody can cook. If you can do something, it doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, you can do it. And it makes that point very well. And it tells a very endearing story. So you can't take that away from this film. I overrated is my expectation for Pixar movies or good movies, great movies in general, is to have that very strong character dynamic where you're invested into the character deeply. This movie didn't hit all the way there for me. It was part of the way there. Other Pixar movies also have that deep moment. You're invested in the character when you have that deep moment where you feel like you're getting your heart pulled out. When two characters' interactions deeply affects, your feelings for a second or a couple moments after. You're like, wow, okay. And then you're going to have to process that for a minute or two. Or if you watched them multiple times like I have for a couple seconds, and it doesn't matter how many times you watched it. This movie does not have that. It has that moment where everyone walks out of the kitchen and you're like, oh man, that stinks. But you're not, at least I wasn't ripped out. That was par for the course. It was unfortunate. I felt bad, but I wasn't heartbroken or moved emotionally. So that's kind of part of the reason why it separates for me. The other thing is this movie feels more like an idea movie than a movie that was focused on characters and plot and had a story that needed to be told. This was how can we portray the idea best that anyone can cook? Well, who's not allowed in the kitchen? A rat. And then they did that wordplay very cleverly with Ratatouille, and that being the dish they serve at the very end of the movie. A peasant's dish that they revamped and made it very good. It was very clever, right? And I don't want to take away how clever and how well done this movie was, but it was about an idea. It wasn't about characters, and sometimes you could get away with that, but this one didn't get all the way there for me. Other thing that just drops this movie down a level from that top tier is it wasn't as funny. The plot wasn't as strong, I don't think. And the music wasn't as strong. Like I said, the idea really carried this movie, and this movie was just very clever. Having the rat in his hair and his hat pulling all the strings. It was just well done, and it was interesting, and it's different, and I always take different and a unique idea and unique perspective on a movie than doing the same thing over and over again. So I applaud this early version of Pixar of doing something interesting like they have in the past pretty pretty frequently, so far at least.
Ratatouille? They must be joking.
The following day, his review appears.
In many ways, the work of a critic is easy. We risk very little, yet enjoy a position over those who offer up their work and themselves to our judgment. We thrive on negative criticism, which is fun to write and to read. But the bitter truth we critics must face is that in the grand scheme of things, the average piece of junk is probably more meaningful than our criticism designating it so. But there are times when a critic truly risks something, and that is in the discovery and defense of the new. The world is often unkind to new talent, new creations. The new needs friends. Last night I experienced something new. An extraordinary meal from a singularly unexpected source. To say that both the meal and its maker have challenged my preconceptions about fine cooking is a gross understatement. They have rocked me to my core. In the past, I have made no secret of my disdain for Chef Gusteau's famous motto, "Anyone can cook," but I realize only now do I truly understand what he meant. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. It is difficult to imagine more humble origins than those of the genius now cooking at Gusteau's, who is, in this critic's opinion, nothing less than the finest chef in France. I will be returning to Gusteau's soon, hungry for more.
So, just going off that, how I said it's an idea movie, that sums up what the idea of this movie. It's supposed to express this beautiful idea, beautifully put idea to, I guess, kids and adults, and they do it wonderfully. And I know it may sound like I'm not high on this movie. I absolutely love this movie, but I just don't think it's as good as the other movies. But I most definitely think Pixar did well in making this movie. So, looking at the current rankings, we have number 7 is A Bug's Life, 6 is Cars, 5 Toy Story, 4 Monsters Inc., 3 Toy Story 2, 2 The Incredibles, 1 Finding Nemo. You can see the tiers by their respective color. I think this is clearly better than Cars and A Bug's Life by a mile. This is a much better movie. I don't think it stacks up to Toy Story. And like I said, the thing that separates Toy Story for me is that it was funny. It's also unique, but it's more driven by plot. It's more driven by characters, I feel like. It's more interesting in that way. And I think that's more important to me in a movie, is having good characters that are interesting. Not to say that the characters in this film weren't interesting. I mean, Remy was obviously an interesting character, but I guess everyone else kind of fell short for me. But even the critic was interesting too, I would say, in his perspective flipping and seeing like that flash of his childhood and what good art can do. Man, I would also like to say that I think this is the most rewatchable movie out of all of these, just because it feels like the stakes aren't quite as high, and there's not that emotional tug, but it is still very good. So for me, it's right below Toy Story, right above Cars. It's in its own tier. I would give this movie like an 86, 80, yeah, an 86, 87. The more I talk about it, it creeps up there to that Toy Story range, but it's not quite there. I'd say those movies are like 89, 90s, so yeah, right below there. So with all that being said, Ratatouille comes in at number 6, going through the list. Number 8, A Bug's Life, Cars 7, Ratatouille 6, Toy Story 5, Monsters Inc. 4, Toy Story 2, 3, The Incredibles number 2, and Finding Nemo 1. Like I said, it's a good movie, very rewatchable. Doesn't pull at the heartstrings, but has a very lovely message that pulls at you a little bit. And I think that's what makes this great. And there's always a place for a message like that in this world. And I think there's some people that need to hear that sometimes. So that's all I have for now. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao.